and the Ad Council.
Merry Christmas, honey.
A Bernina embroidery machine?
It's wonderful.
Bernina products are wonderful Christmas gifts that you'll love and use. Take advantage of these holiday specials at Dave's Bernina in St. George and Provo.
Save thousands of dollars on world-famous Bernina sewing machines, such as the B700E for $2,999, the B500E $1,999, and get a free $2,000 embroidery module when you purchase the 770 Kate machine.
48 months, no interest on certain machines.
Purchase the L890 Serger and receive a free Bernina Studio cabinet, a $3,250 value. How about $2,400 worth of free gifts when you buy a Bernina B790 Pro model?
25% off all Bernina luggage, embroidery hoops, and presser feet.
Amazing bargains on previously owned and demo machines with warranties at Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Lynn Thomas.
Well, Dan, still have that crash US 6. That's west of the Tie Fort Rest area in Utah County. The slowing is in either direction from Wheeler Sawmill Canyon to Garrett Canyon in that area. Once you get past that, though, you're in good shape. The beautiful day as you make your way through the canyon. Join the Utah Symphony for the greatest classical hits from the 1700s to today. Tickets start at $21. Get yours today at utahsymphony.org. Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, canyon winds will die down and then high pressure moves in with pollution building up under an inversion layer for a couple of days. There's a chance of showers by Monday and Tuesday next week. And right now we're at 48 degrees. It's partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Well, today the House of Representatives is set to vote on whether or not to authorize a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. The inquiry is based on the president's alleged involvement in his son Hunter Biden's business dealings with foreign companies. The House subpoenaed Hunter Biden to testify in a closed-door deposition. The questions rolling into today and the headlines were, A, would Hunter Biden show up for a closed-door deposition, or B, would he defy the definition and not show up at all? Well, the answer turned out to be C, something a little different. Let's begin.
Think you know the news of the day? Think again with Boyd Matheson on KSL News Radio.
Well, it was door number 3 for Hunter Biden today. He did show up on Capitol Hill, but he did not go in the building. He had his own press conference, which I don't think anyone was anticipating today. So for the next 30 minutes, we're going to get into and explore what is really going on, why Hunter Biden is willing to testify at a public hearing, but not a private deposition. Very different animals, different things. We're going to talk about why that matters. We're also going to talk about what this means for democracy. And then I'm going to tell you a little later on about 120 who the real winners and the real losers are in all of this. And I'll give you a hint. They do not reside in the United States of America. We'll come back to that. So let's start with what is actually going on. And, of course, it was this spectacle on the steps of the Capitol today, just outside Capitol Hill, as Hunter Biden took to the microphones. Did not go in the building as he was scheduled to do and had been subpoenaed to do, but he held his own press conference. So there he issued a challenge to the Republicans on the committee, asking for a public hearing rather than a closed-door deposition.
Here I am, Mr. Chairman, taking up your offer when you said we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose. I am here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say. What are they afraid of? I'm here. I'm ready.
So a tremendous communication strategy by Hunter Biden today because most people are not going past the headlines. So the headlines are all reading today. Hunter Biden issues challenge, I'm here, I'm ready for a hearing. Well, there's a big difference. There's a huge difference between having a committee hearing and having a deposition. Those are completely different animals. And of course, Hunter Biden would love, absolutely love, to be questioned in a committee hearing in public. Why is that? Well, we've watched the circus that is the United States Congress when it comes to committee hearings, because most of them are not hearings at all, because nobody's listening, because everyone's just trying to get their social media moment. And it bounces back and forth in 5-minute increments. The Republicans go for 5 minutes, mostly making statements, maybe an occasional question. Democrats then get their 5 minutes. They do the same thing, showboat, grandstand, maybe ask a question, and it goes back and forth. And so nothing really happens in that hearing. And Hunter Biden would love that. What he doesn't want to do is a deposition. A deposition, you have a single person, and think of it more in terms of the legal system in this country. A deposition, you're going to have one, maybe two people who are going to go down a line of questions and are going to really dig deep so you can get past the 30-second soundbite answer that you've already prepared and really have to think through all the issues, all the answers, all the facts, all the things that you know for sure, the things that you think but aren't quite certain of. It's a completely different animal. So from a communication strategy standpoint, it was a brilliant move by Hunter Biden to show up in front of the United States Capitol and say, here I am, I'm ready. Let's do it in public. But that's a distraction and a distortion in terms of what's actually going on. So an important distinction there. Again, I don't care whether you think Hunter Biden is guilty, innocent, whether there's implications to the president or not. Just look at it from this is the process. Now, Speaker Mike Johnson, for his part of all of this, he also held a press conference today. A lot of press conferences going on in D.C. That's a good gig to have. He explained why it was that the House Republicans are going to take this vote today on an impeachment inquiry.
We're following the Constitution, and I've made this very clear. Remember, my background is constitutional law. I served on an impeachment defense team twice under President Trump. This is not something they really covered in law school. What you know about impeachment, if you look at the Constitution, is it's a heavy authority that's given to the House, specifically to the House. That's where the power lies. And next to the declaration of war, you've all heard me say many times, I think it may be the heaviest power that we have. It's very, very serious business, and it has to be conducted in that way. The impeachment inquiry is necessary now because we've come to this impasse where following the facts where they lead is hitting a stone wall because the White House is impeding that investigation now. They're not allowing witnesses to come forward and thousands of pages of documents.
Now, the Democrats will say, yes, we have given thousands of pages of documents, just not the documents that the House has specifically requested. And in a November 17th letter from the White House special counsel, Dick Sauber, he said he wouldn't respond to Congress's request for those specific documents because there was no authorization of an investigation. So that was the White House, President Biden's team, saying, no, we're not going to give you anything because there isn't any authorized investigation. So Speaker of the House says, okay, then we'll make it official. And so that's what will happen probably about 50 minutes from now. They're scheduled to take the vote on the inquiry to open up that investigation. Again, it's not impeachment. It's the inquiry to follow the facts, to go through the process of it. I think that's an important component to all of this. Speaker Johnson also talked about the legal decision rather than the political decision that's an important part of this process.
We have no choice. To fulfill our constitutional responsibility, we have to take the next step. We're not making a political decision. It's not. It's a legal decision. So people have feelings about it one way or the other. We can't prejudge the outcome. The Constitution does not permit us to do so. We have to follow the truth where it takes us, and that is exactly what we're going to do.
All right, so that's the Republican standpoint in terms of this is why we're going down this path. We're going to follow it. Again, most people have not said, hey, I think it's hit the bar. The impeachment bar is incredibly high crimes and misdemeanors. It's a big one to clear. And so it will be interesting to see how that plays out. I want to hit one more thing in terms of Hunter Biden's press conference today. There were several moments that I think were a little over-scripted, and there were some that were a little canned and a little too cute by half. But there were some moments where Hunter Biden was real and raw and personal And I think there was an important message there, and there was also an important distinction that I think sometimes gets lost in our desire to be empathetic with those that have overcome addiction.
During my battle with addiction, my parents were there for me. They literally saved my life. They helped me in ways that I will never be able to repay. Of course, they would never expect me to. And in the depths of my addiction, I was extremely irresponsible with my finances. But to suggest that is grounds for an impeachment inquiry is beyond the absurd. It's shameless.
So Hunter Biden went through, and he talked about this, and it was very personal. And I think it's very important that we don't buy into the false choice in all of this. We can have great compassion, and I cheer for everyone, everywhere who overcomes a battle with any kind of addiction. That is a big black hole. It is deep. It is hard. It is long. It takes a family. It takes a community. It takes everybody. And so that part is important. I thought as Hunter Biden was describing all of that and said that he was taking responsibility and so on, he missed the crucial component to that. And we often reference that on this program as the absolute inevitability of consequences. Absolute inevitability, predictability of consequences. And what he's dealing with now is the consequences part of the program. So let's cheer. Let's have empathy for the first family and what President Biden and Mrs. Biden did to help their son. That's heroic. That's noble. That's good. We should applaud that. And Hunter Biden has the absolute predictability of consequences. And he's dealing with that in issues in California and other places. And so that's all part of this process that we can't lose as we go through it. So that kind of tees up the top end of the spectrum. We're going to go ahead and step aside, but we're going to stay with this conversation because there's more to it than that. Obviously, there's this element coming up at 2 o'clock when they'll take the vote to open the formal inquiry into the investigation. But there's more to it than even that. And there will be many winners and many losers in this whole process. And I'm going to share with you a couple that might surprise you in the winners category and the losers category. And they're not the political ones that you might think. We'll be right back.
Think again on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson. Think about all the ways you use your phone. But are you getting KSL's breaking news updates?
We've got a storm to start the day.
Israel Defense Forces are adamant that they're just following protocol.
The White House is getting worried about Russia's growing relationship with Iran.
The vacancy left in the Quorum of the 12 Apostles has been filled.
Get alerts, links to important story articles, and updates on severe weather and traffic. Text the word news to 57500. That's the word news to 57500. And stay connected to KSL News Radio.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Wednesday, December 13th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right, yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Salt Lake City area attorneys. 910 West Legacy Center Way, Suite 120, Midvale, Utah, 84047.
In 400 AD, a forgotten time in ancient America, warrior prophet Moroni must preserve the history of his fallen nation while being hunted by a ruthless tyrant.
Where is the brave general now?
From Freestyle Releasing and Great Scott Entertainment comes
The memory of my God,
The Oath.
my faith and my freedom, my wife and my son.
The Oath, now playing in theaters. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. More information is available at oathmovie.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This time of year can be a lot, and it's natural to feel some sadness or anxiety about it. But adding something new and positive to your life can counteract some of those feelings. Therapy can be a bright spot amid all of the stress and change. Something to look forward to make you feel grounded, and to give you the tools to manage everything going on. Learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Find your bright spot this season with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Salt Lake today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Salt Lake, and get 10% off your first month. Positive mortgage news? Interest rates have dropped and trending down from 2023 yearly highs. Click loansbyrick.com. Purchase or cashback loans. Visit loansbyrick.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a lot of things have been going down in price the past few months, but rent is going nowhere but up. Second, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is building a new missionary training center in Thailand. Third, Ukraine wants to join the European Union one day, but other countries in the EU don't even want to talk about it. Right now, 48 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Boyd Matheson divides rage from reason on Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. If you're just joining us, we're doing a deep dive during this first half hour of the show. Of course, the big headlines of the day are around Hunter Biden. He was scheduled to appear inside the United States Capitol for a closed-door deposition today. Many people said, oh, he's not going to show up at all. He will not do that, and he'll risk the contempt of Congress issue, which would take a long time to play out anyway. But the interesting thing was he actually did show up to the Capitol. He just didn't go inside. He went right to a bank of microphones and did something pretty smart in terms of communication strategy and really took it on the offensive and said, here I am. I want to do this in public. Let's do it in a hearing. But again, we have to dispel the myth that those are the same things. That's really a distraction and a distortion. Depositions are not the same as having a committee hearing in the United States Congress. Very different animals, very different line of questioning, very different issues that you actually get to. So that's an important part of it. Now, we're also keeping our eye very closely on the House of Representatives as probably coming up at about the top of the hour, 2 o'clock Utah time. They will take a vote on moving forward on the inquiry and the investigation. And this is something they have done as a result of the White House issuing a statement back on November 17th saying they're not going to cooperate and provide additional information that Congress had requested because there had been no authorization for an investigation. So Congress is saying, okay, then, that's the game you want to play, then we'll go ahead and we'll do that. And they will do that today, and we suspect that that will probably pass and take it to the next step. Now, I think there's also some other nuances that we need to look at today. One is this element of oversight. It is a constitutional duty of Congress, regardless of whether the Democrats are in charge or the Republicans are in charge, to do oversight. So oversight matters, following facts, investigating things, whether that's waste, fraud, and abuse in an agency, or whether that's high crimes and misdemeanors by someone sitting in the Oval Office. That's the duty, that's the job. The important thing is to have the discipline of the process so that these things do not become weaponized. One of the things that I have worried most about over the last 8 years, really, is the weaponization of the oversight process. And that's an important one that we have to maintain and control, because if we don't do that, if everything does just become weaponized and political, then we've lost everything. And we'll have no confidence, no trust in the institutions. And all we'll do every 4 years is we'll just have a different party in power trying to go after whoever the president is of whatever party. And we'll do nothing but dealing with these kinds of investigations and this kind of trying to go after the president politically to impeach or to, condemn or to do all those things. That's all it will become. We have a hard enough time with Congress staying focused and getting the job done that they're supposed to do. We have to be careful and balance oversight, legitimate oversight, which we should always do and always follow, regardless of the politics, and do that in a way that doesn't promote more politics and more bad behavior. So it's a difficult balance. It's a nuanced issue. But if we don't get that part right, then we start getting a whole different set of winners and losers. And normally when we talk about winners and losers in these scenarios, you can talk about, okay, well, the loser could be President Biden if he's dealing with impeachment proceedings in an election year. He could be one of the losers. Or Republicans in Congress could be losers because the Democrats will paint them as not being able to govern and only interested in trying to impeach the president. Those are both legitimate. The real issue to me, though, has nothing to do with Democrats or Republicans, House or Senate or the White House. Let's talk about who the real winners and losers are if we can't get our act together and have the right kind of conversations in the right way with dignity and civility in front of the American people. So let's talk about the winners. The winners, if this continues to be a muddled, mucky mess, the winners will be President Xi in China, Vladimir Putin in Russia, and the Iranian regime, and all those affiliated with them. They will be the winners because they know that democracy is messy, and they love that because they can point to it and say, see, it doesn't really work. What you really need is someone like me, a dictator who's powerful and bold and brilliant, and no one can question me because I'm going to do it. Democracy is messy, but if we make an unforced mess, that's where we lose credibility on the world stage. That's where if we've got a Congress and a White House that are all focused on the politics of it all, who is minding the store when it comes to all the things that matter in terms of relationships and security around the world? Vladimir Putin would like nothing more than to be a big mess with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and the House and no funding for Ukraine. He loves that because the longer that goes, the stronger Vladimir Putin is. The more distracted the United States is, the more powerful President Xi is, and the more emboldened he will be to act on Taiwan and other places around the world. The Iranian regime will continue to do what it's been doing if we aren't fully engaged with a president and a Congress who have the discipline and the focus. Focus always precedes success in governing. And if we can't focus, we can't govern. And then we just react. And what do we react to? Really bad things that happened like on October 7th. Really bad things like what happens when Vladimir Putin invades Ukraine. Really bad things like what China could do if they take over Taiwan. Those are all really bad reactive scenarios. So those are the winners. The winners are President Xi, President Putin, and the Iranian regime. The losers, well, it's a long list. And it's none of the politicians. It's our allies around the world. It's Israel. It's Ukraine. It's Taiwan. It's our allies in Europe. They're the losers. Because, again, if America can't lead, if we're so internally dysfunctional and so obsessed with the tit-for-tat of politics and performance and divisiveness and revenge, you can't lead from that space. You cannot lead from that space. And that hurts our allies, because then they start to wonder, will the U.S. be there for us? Are they really our ally? Do they really have our back like they say they do? Will they really show up? Or are they so consumed with the politics going on internally in the country that they'll be unable to have the focus or the vision to lead the way the world needs the United States to lead? So out of all of the headlines of the day, in terms of impeachment inquiries and Hunter Biden, let's be really clear in terms of the real winners and losers, and all of us as we the people are in that lot as well. All right, that wraps it up for us. We're going to step aside for some bottom-of-the-hour news. Don't go anywhere. We're going to continue the conversation on some crucial matters right here on Inside Sources. Stick around. We'll be right back.
It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. The Provo-Orem area is ranked as the second best place in the nation for first-time home buyers. This is according to a study by Consumer Affairs. Deanna Devi, spokesperson for the Utah Association of Realtors, has some reasons why that area is so high on the list.
Just have so much tremendous job growth. So many opportunities for people to stay in the area, for people to come to the area, to have good jobs. And that labor market drives our housing market.
And she also says the median home price in the Provo-Orem area is lower than the state average, and there's incredibly high home appreciation, meaning those homes become more valuable more rapidly than in other parts of the state. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Biden sat down at the White House with family members of American hostages still being held in Gaza. The White House says they're not sure of the status of those hostages. The president has been highly engaged trying to win their release.
Family members of some of the Americans held hostage by Hamas told reporters they've been in frequent and transparent contact with the Biden administration about efforts to locate and free their loved ones. Jonathan Deckelhen, whose son Sagi was kidnapped during the October 7th attacks.
The U.S. administration is completely committed to getting the hostages out, the 8 Americans who remain there and the other nearly 130. We have no doubt about that.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average took a sharp climb after news came out that the Fed was not planning a rate increase this quarter. The Dow Jones average stands now at 375 points above where it was this morning. The NASDAQ is up 135 points right now. And our KSL weather looks like we'll see sunny skies, but maybe with some of that haze above the valley. That's next. KSL News Time, 1:32.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio. Home for the holidays? Sounds nice, doesn't it? What if your home excluded summer yard work and was a one-level luxurious townhome with spacious rooms? Sounds even better. Preview your new home for the holidays at an open house December 18th at Nilsson Homes' newest single-level luxury townhome in Bluffview. These homes are move-in ready, no yard work, snow blowing, and close to what you love and enjoy with easy commutes. Experience the Nilsson Homes difference of what spacious single-level townhome floor plans and no stairs looks like. Nilsson Homes has been building across the Wasatch Front for over 45 years, accommodating all the things you need combined with the things you love. Ask about end-of-year promotional savings. Experience your new home for the holidays at their open house event December 18th, 5 to 7 p.m. Pictures with Santa and warm churros at the newest Nilsson Community, 227 North, 3830 West Point. Visit Nilsson Homes Communities at nilssonhomes.com, NILSON homes.com.
I've worked hard to get where I am. I don't cut corners. I see opportunity and make the most of it. And I'm celebrating that success in style by heading to Jerry Seiner Cadillac to get the car I've been working for. They have new XT4, 5, and 6 models in stock and the area's largest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles. I've put in the work, and I've earned the luxury that only comes with a Cadillac. If you have too, then it's time to visit Jerry Seiner and experience the Seiner difference.
Les Olson IT has the office technology you need to take your business to the next level. Protect your business with state-of-the-art security cameras, sensors, alarms, and access control protocols. Get peace of mind with cybersecurity from our elite IT services team. Reach the next level of productivity, security, and success with Les Olson IT. Learn more at lesolson.com.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. Over the years, I've talked a lot about hard water. It takes years off the life of water heaters and other appliances in your home. Leaves scum on the shower walls, and you almost need a jackhammer to remove that. I've talked about how Kinetico of Utah, an authorized Kinetico dealer, their water softeners are maintenance-free. You just don't need adjustment, and they do the job with 2/3 less salt than other softeners. But today, I want to talk about the exhilarating feeling of stepping into a hot bath or shower and feeling that pure, soft water cascade over your skin. It feels like every pore in your body wants to stand up and start singing. And afterward, there are no itchy hard water deposits sticking all over you. You really should look into a soft water system from Kinetico of Utah, an authorized Kinetico dealer. You can learn more about Kinetico by giving them a call at 801-576-8600 or log on to Softwater Utah. Kinetico of Utah, an authorized Kinetico dealer. Then sit back and enjoy your shower even more.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Len Thomas.
And in Utah County, US 6 is closed due to a crash affecting both lanes in Fort Canyon. It's affecting both directions in Spanish Fort Canyon. There we go, west of Tie Fork Rest Area, stopping traffic in either direction from Sawmill Canyon for a couple of miles toward the rest area. In Sardine Canyon, between Brigham City and Logan, no delays and busy once you get to Logan on Main Street. Fed Up Kitchen is Utah's premier healthy meal prep service. Save time, money, and get results with our delicious meals made fresh daily. Right now, save 20% on your first order. Use promo code KSL at fedupkitchen.com. Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
Our KSL weather, high pressure moves in with pollution building up under inversion layer for a couple of days. There's a chance of showers by Monday and Tuesday next week. And right now, partly cloudy, 46 degrees. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM at KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Since the war in Israel broke out on October the 7th, business leaders have been grappling with how to address anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim hate in the workplace. Now, faith groups have often been left out of diversity, equity, and inclusion programming in a host of businesses across the country and around the world. But it's interesting to me that the war is actually causing a lot of corporations to really rethink their thinking on it. So the question is, how can companies foster better conversations about faith and make people of faith, all faith, and people of no faith feel more included in those conversations? Really pleased to have back on the program with us Dr. Paul Lambert, Religion Initiative Director at the Wheatley Institute. He's also a board member and senior business fellow at the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation that's doing some extraordinary work in this space. And Paul, welcome back to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks, Boyd.
So let's start with where things are as we've watched this play out over the last couple of months, particularly as it comes to kind of two ends of the spectrum in terms of anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim activity going on and conversations in the workplace. What has that done from your unique perspective, Paul, in terms of conversations happening inside the workplace?
Yeah, well, in the wake of October 7th, what we've seen is just an increased focus. And I should be clear, there are many organizations, not enough, but there are many organizations that have already been diligent in including religion and belief in their diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives and their overall wellness and corporate infrastructure. But since October 7th, there's been a real increase in focus on this for obvious reasons. We've seen higher levels of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, not just in society, but also in workplaces. And workplaces are where many people look to make change. And so that's what we've seen as an increase in focus on this issue.
Yeah, and I definitely want to drill into some of this because I think part of your work and the organizations that you are with between the Wheatley Institute and the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation really are highlighting those organizations, and there is a growing number of them that are getting it right and really creating space so that people can bring their whole authentic self, including their faith, into the workplace.
Yeah, and there's a couple things that I think are unique about what they are doing right and what helps them stand apart. And I think they're particularly important points to make in the wake of this because, you know, the reactions are coming to something that's awful, right? What we're seeing in Israel and Gaza right now is horrible. It's you know, human lives, people are suffering. But the companies that are doing faith and belief inclusion well are taking a positive approach, and this is really important. They're not seeking to differentiate between a good religion or a bad religion idea and a bad. They are empowering people of any faith, right, of any faith tradition, or as you've said, or none. And they're trying to build bridges and take a positive approach as opposed to defining a particular group based on what they aren't, or based on the worst examples within that given faith.
Yeah, I think that's such an important element to get to that. Talk to us a little bit about some of those companies that are getting it right and that have been doing it long before October 7th took place, but people who have really been building that kind of culture that I think is so important.
Yeah, there are many, and I'll name a few, but we'll also say there are many that I won't name, and just want to call out that there are many great organizations doing this. But back even as far as early as 2000, Texas Instruments, for example, was building a strong infrastructure and focus on welcoming faith and belief in the workplace, and really had an inclusive approach of welcoming all types of faith, not just one particular faith. So Texas Instruments is a great example. Accenture is a wonderful example of inclusive faith and belief initiatives in the workplace. Google has done a good job of this. American Airlines, Intel, the list could go on and on. What these organizations are doing is recognizing that faith and belief are part of their employees, and if they want the best out of their employees, if they want the greatest return on the investment that those employees are for them, they need to create spaces where they can fully contribute. And organizations that do that well see exactly that, better performing employees.
Yeah, and I want to dig into that just a little bit more because I do think in terms of both that performance element and then that job satisfaction and that commitment to company and customers really does change when you're able to bring that whole authentic self into the workplace. So we were talking with Rabbi Brad Hirschfield earlier this week, and just talking about how, you know, during this season of Hanukkah that initially the menorahs were set not inside the house but outside the house, really signaling that it's not enough, you know, to have your light or your faith inside your home or your synagogue or church, but it was to be taken out into the marketplace, into society. Tell us about how that does impact performance and job satisfaction.
Yeah, so I think it's intuitive to all of us. We just don't always apply it to a workplace context. You know, we as human beings, we want to be understood. We want to be recognized for who we are. We seek, whether we use these words or not, we are constantly seeking dignity, you know, human dignity. And that doesn't mean that people have to agree with us. It just means that we want to be recognized for who we are and the way we choose to live our lives. And so what that means in a workplace is if you have someone that feels free and comfortable and safe in being who they are, whether that's a person of faith or no faith and other aspects of their identity, that means they're not worrying about that. They're worrying about the job at hand, right? We want to remove distractions, remove things that are going to cause them to be prohibited from giving their full contribution, giving their full faculties to the job at hand. We want to create a obstacle-less environment for them to contribute. So we can do that by, you know, creating environments where they feel safe and understood. And where we really see this happen, and this should make sense to us, is where we have teams that better understand each other because they understand where people are coming from. And we have lots of examples, both in data and, of course, stories, anecdotes where people, once they feel like they're understood and they understand where their employees or their colleagues are coming from, they're just more prepared to collaborate. They're more prepared to work together in a meaningful and functional way.
That desire to be understood, and as you said, with dignity, that really is the kind of culture. We always say culture eats strategy for breakfast in an organization. But when you have that kind of baseline, your ability to collaborate and produce better results goes up even further. Really quickly, Dr. Lambert, before I let you go, give us just one more thing that you wish organizations were thinking about or thinking differently about when it comes to that healthy pluralism faith in the workplace.
Yeah, so one thing I'll just say quickly is distinguishing between, recreating church at work and a workplace where we're creating or empowering inclusion. So our goal here is not to recreate church at work, right? Churches are for that. What we're trying to do is create an environment, an inclusive environment where people can thrive, right? And that's not about debating truth claims. That's about acknowledging and empowering and again, giving that human dignity. And that's an important distinction that really can help create a positive work environment. And frankly, not just in the workplace, but in society everywhere.
Yeah, that dignity across our differences and that we don't have to agree, but we can value. We can even go so far as to have a little holy envy, I think, for the beliefs of others and what they bring, the unique perspective that they bring that keeps us curious, that make all of us function just at a much higher level. Dr. Paul Lambert's the Religion Initiative Director at the Wheatley Institute, and he's also a board member and Senior Business Fellow at the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation. Dr. Lambert, thank you so much, as always, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, some great perspective there from Dr. Paul Lambert. And again, it's so interesting to see what organizations have done, especially in the wake of October 7th and some of the anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim hate and speech that's happening inside of organizations. That's a crucial conversation that we will continue with. We'll step aside for a quick break. Coming up, Lois Collins is going to join us to discuss the 2023 American Family Survey, which looks at the politics of American family life. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and I am here to talk to the people who are concerned that there's somebody on your gift-giving list that is just so hard to buy for. Well, I have the perfect solution, and it's the gift of theater from Hale Center Theater. And all you have to do, this is easy shopping, go to hct.org. Maybe you could pick up tickets for Elf, or maybe A Christmas Carol, or maybe you want to get season tickets for that special person for an amazing array of entertainment next year. Clue, Fiddler on the Roof, The Time Machine, The Nutty Professor, The Addams Family, The Magician's Elephant, and Disney's Beauty and the Beast. That's an all-time favorite at Hale Center Theater. And gift cards are also the perfect gift-giving idea. It's time to go online, Hale Center Theater, hct.org. You can do all your Christmas shopping with the gift of theater.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Wednesday, December 13th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa this weekend only. Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Guys, does she need a little escape this year? Introducing Cozy Escape Pajamas from Pajamagram, America's PJ experts. These PJs are just the getaway she needs. So take that time off and plan a holiday staycation. Cozy Escape Pajamas make the perfect gift for your special someone who deserves a little rest and relaxation. Treat her to luxurious Next Level Cozy Signature Soft Fleece. They're as light as a dream and will keep her oh so warm, like snuggling in her favorite blanket. She'll love to cuddle in Cozy Escape PJs on those extra chilly nights. With Pajamagram, you can even add gift packaging. Order now for guaranteed delivery by Christmas. She's missed out on a lot of things she loves this year, so this Christmas, give her the escape she deserves. These new PJs are selling fast, so order today. Go to Pajamagram.com right now. That's Pajamagram.com to order Cozy Escape Pajamas. Pajamagram.com. Protect your heart and your family. The American Heart Association and Live Fierce Take Action sponsor Optum urge you to get your flu shot today. Learn more at heart.org/flu.
Dear Santa, thank you so much for remembering me this year. Christmas was the best. Thank you for the shoes, and I love the coat you brought. It's so cute and so warm.
At KSL, it's our hope that every child will have a warm and joyful holiday season. Please donate generously to KSL's Quarters for Christmas.
Every dollar raised goes to buy shoes and warm clothes for Utah children in need. Give what you can at KSLQuarters.com.
Boyd Matheson divides rage from reason on Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It's great to be with you today, as always. Well, the new 2023 American Family Survey has just come out, and it found that Republicans and Democrats are divided when it comes to views on family life. The survey looks at marriage rates, fertility rates, a host of other things, and how American family has become politicized by both sides of the political spectrum. And we want to dig into a whole host of things, and it is always a gift and a pleasure when we get to have Lois Collins from the Deseret News join us, and in studio to boot. So, Lois, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
For our listeners, just give us a quick tee-up in terms of what is the American Family Survey. It's been going on for a number of years now. What have they been tracking, and what do we get this year?
So it is exactly what it says. We survey a representative sampling of American families, adults, 3,000, error rate of about 2.1 plus or minus. This is the 9th year, so we're coming up on 10 years now, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
We talk about marriage. We talk about what worries families. We ask about relationships, what they do together, how they feel about policies. It's a really good look at American life, and I would encourage anybody to look at it. You can see the survey itself and the answers and how they break down. So it's all very transparent. It's done by YouGov and for Deseret News and BYU's Wheatley Institute and the Center for the Study of Elections and Democracy.
Yeah, and it is a great look at American life, and it's something that we reference often. And so I want to get to some of the things that jumped out for you this year, because I don't want just the numbers. We can get the numbers, but you're great at the nuance of what's underneath those numbers. And I know one thing that popped out for you is we have a lot of weary parents in this country. What did you find, or what did you sense coming out of that survey about what's on parents' minds? What are they worried about?
Okay, so I would start with two things. We looked at the family as an institution, and we looked at the family, your family, on a more personal level, and the findings were very different. People love their own families. They think everybody else's family is really having a hard time. And so we find that same thing. Other surveys find that same thing with marriage, with other things. So that's not unusual. Overall, families in general, they're mostly worried about cost, the cost of raising a family. That includes inflation. That's a real concern right now. They're also worried about technology, social media, what kids are doing, and just that whole impact. And that's tied with work demands and parental stress. So that's something that people are really concerned about right now. And I think some of it may have to do with the pandemic and with kind of the bleed over between remote work, which has some advantages and disadvantages, and in-office work. It's just a lot of demands on family. They're also worried about not having enough two-parent homes, that there are too many kids who are being raised in other homes instead of two married parents, and then mental health. That's for families in general. One thing that has changed, I think, significantly over the years is that if you ask now what people worry about for their own families, they're much more apt to say mental health than they were in the past.
Yeah.
It's not as stigmatized because, let's face it, everybody knows that this is a problem. And so people are talking about that. And they're also worried about having enough family time. And I get that too. I've always been a working mom, and there's just 24 hours in a day, which seems like we got shorted.
Yeah.
So as far as teens, what they worry about mental health, and that includes suicidality. And then they also worry about tech. And we find that there's very little difference partisan-wise between worries about bullying, about friends, about drugs, safety, crime, those things. Those are way down the list. The concerns right now, and especially the partisan concerns, are somewhat different. GOP worries about single parenting. They worry about a decline in faith. Those are top concerns. On the Democrat side of the aisle, it's more about parental stress and cost, which more represents what the national worry, what the worry is about families generally. And so, oddly enough, when you talk about the number one thing that really worries them, and I never get this totally befuddles me, it's still super, super, super concerned about how other people, not me, I'm a perfect parent, how other people discipline their own kids.
Fascinating.
Which is so weird, because that has been number one or tied for number one for the whole duration of the survey.
Really?
We look at other people's kids and we think they stink.
Yeah, and why can't those parents do something with that child?
But if you ask about teens and you ask, about their friends, which one would assume those would be the other kids being disciplined, they're not too worried about that. So that's just like this weird little outlier.
That's so fascinating. Yeah, because I'm probably part defense mechanism as a parent to say I'm probably really bad at this, but someone else has got to be much worse.
Yeah, they've got to be worse. But it is, to me, one of the strangest things.
Yeah,
so.
I want to dig in just real quickly in the time we have left, because I know it's an area that you have dug deep and thought long and hard about, and I appreciate your thinking on this as it comes to the mental health side. Clearly, that spans all of the demographics. It spans the political spectrum, and it continues to be something that is on the rise in terms of the concern. Are you seeing any trends or any glimmers of hope in terms of, hey, we're starting to deal with this, or maybe the impact of the pandemic is waning slightly? Are we seeing anything in that space?
Mental health has been a problem since before the pandemic, and the pandemic complicated it.
Yeah.
So I would not say that I have seen a huge glimmer of hope that we're handling the problem. What I do see a glimmer of hope in is that people are owning it. They're admitting to it, and they're trying to get help, and they're talking about it. Where things fall short is there are waiting lists. Most families may have trouble figuring out where to start trying to get mental health for kids. Schools are outgunned. Parents are outgunned. Yesterday, we did a panel discussion on this, and the moderator said, if you could talk to the governor and tell him to address one issue to help families, what would that be? And for me, it is very clearly mental health among not just the young, but older as well. But particularly the young, because I got to tell you, if your kid suffers from a mental health challenge, the whole family is in trouble. They're all struggling.
Everybody gets impacted, and that adds to that. Not just the worry list; it's the weary list.
And the reality, it's just so hard on so many levels.
Yeah, no question about it. 30 seconds left. Give us one other thing that just jumped out for you in terms of the survey this year, something that you want to come back and talk more about.
I love the fact that families love their own, and that the other thing that I love, they love their own families so much.
Yeah.
But the other thing that really resonated with me is that Democrats and Republicans think that they're so far apart on everything, but they live the same way. They love their kids and their spouses the same way. The way America lives is very similar. And that says to me that if we'll just drop all of the arguing and stuff and talk, we hear a lot from both outer edges, but we live in an area where collaboration and compromise and loving families is possible, and we should do that.
Fantastic, as always. Lois Collins from the Deseret News, the American Family Survey. And you should just go back and re-listen to the last thing that Lois said. We can talk about all the partisan divides. We live together, we mostly live alike, and we mostly agree as we try to live together in families, neighborhood, and community. And that's the answer for America and for the American family. Lois, thanks for joining us. That wraps up hour number 1 of Inside Sources on KSL News Radio. We'll step aside for top of the hour news. Don't go anywhere. Hour number 2 coming up next on KSL News Radio.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
Listen at home on any smart speaker.
And in your car at 102.7 FM.
This is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour: a crash on Highway 6 in Spanish Fork Canyon seriously injured 2 people. One was a passenger who was ejected from an SUV towing a trailer. It left the road and rolled over. The other was a woman who was pinned beneath her car and had to be extricated by rescuers. Utah Senator Mitt Romney has a new plan to study the impact of smartphones in classrooms. KSL News Radio's Amy Kobe reports.
Senator Romney first wants to look at what policies are already at schools when it comes to smartphones, and then he wants the National Center for Education Research to look at what impact smartphones in the classrooms are having on kids' grades and their mental health. Romney says the negative impact of social media on the well-being of children is becoming more and more evident.
Romney's plan passed out of a Senate committee with overwhelming support. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: the Federal Reserve Board has decided to leave interest rates unchanged. Policymakers are also indicating that rate cuts could be coming in 2024. More from ABC News business correspondent Alexis Christoforous.
This was largely expected, this move by the Federal Reserve. It's the third straight time the Fed has left interest rates unchanged as it waits to see what those 11 interest rate hikes since March of last year is doing to the overall economy.
And your money at this moment: the Dow Jones average took a strong upturn after that news broke, with the Dow Jones average now up 512 points on the day. The NASDAQ is up 200. And our KSL weather: we'll have a couple of sunny days, but with that haze building up. That's next. KSL News Time 2:01.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hello, car donation hotline.
Hi, I'd like to donate a car to the Utah Kidney Foundation. Are you in Utah?
Awesome. Let's get some info and we'll send you a tow truck.
But I want my car donation to benefit my neighbor in Farmington who needs a transplant. Are you in Utah?
That's a no. I'm in SoCal, but you're still donating to charity.
What charity?
Does it matter?
Yes, I want my donation to stay in Utah.
Righteous dude. You need to call Tow Cars in Utah. Locals only, am I right?
Oh, yeah. I remember tow cars with a K like kidney. It's on a billboard somewhere. TOWKARS.org. That's it. Towcars.org.
If you'd like your vehicle donation to help Utah kidney patients in the Beehive State, please use the web address on their billboard, towcars.org, to donate your old car or truck. That's TOWK like kidney, ARS. Towcars.org.
Imagine how inconvenient your life would be without power. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, and no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have the power when you need it most. Generac generators automatically provide backup after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Schedule a free quote today with Genco Generators, your premier Generac service dealer in Utah. Call 801-295-0872 or online at gencogenerators.net.
It's game time, and you're in the locker room ready to take the field. Suddenly, you notice a player you don't recognize. He's wearing your team's jersey and he even knows your name, but you've never seen him before until now. Would you trust this stranger with your team's playbook? Because that's exactly how phishing scams work. The first quarter of 2022 saw the highest volume of phishing attacks ever recorded. Protect your business with the Les Olson Security Suite from Les Olson IT. Learn more about it at lesolson.com.
Peterson Art Center. Give the gift of creativity with a gift certificate good for any art or pottery class. It's the perfect gift for spouses, kids, friends, and seniors. The Peterson Art Center in Sugar House.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Len Thomas.
Well, we have reports of a grass fire in the scanner. This is about 1200 west and 200 south to keep an eye out for. Also, might not affect traffic too much, but near 3700 south and 37 east, we have a elevator that's stuck with 3 people in it. So hopefully watch out for some emergency vehicles that might be in the way there. On the way to Spanish Fork to Price on Highway 6, it's still closed due to the crash that Dan reported. It's west of Tie Fork Rest area between Garner Hollow and Skyline Drive. Hopefully they'll get that back open soon. This holiday season, receive the gift of 0% for 5 years on Tucson or Santa Fe. When you walk through their doors, you feel like family at Murdoch Hyundai in Logan, Linden, Murray, and online at murdochhyundai.com. I'm Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather. Canyon winds die down now, and then high pressure moves in with pollution building up under an inversion layer. There is a chance of showers by Monday and Tuesday next week. And right now, we're at 46 degrees. It's partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources.
Inside Sources.
America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
This week marks the 75th anniversary of the UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This document declares that everyone have certain inalienable rights to right, to life, to equality, freedom from slavery, many more. These are all very important, but farther down that list is an often overlooked human right that is denied to about 80% of the world's population, a right that makes so many of the other rights possible and important. So let's get beyond the headline of the anniversary. Let's begin.
Think you know the news of the day? Think again with Boyd Matheson on KSL News Radio.
Well, as we talk about this 75th anniversary of this Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the UN, we spoke earlier in the week on Monday about Elder Quentin L. Cook of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who gave 2 landmark addresses, one in front of Parliament, another at a historic Coptic church in London, talking about these rights. And we wanted to dig deeper today into Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which lays out every person's right to religious freedom. Someone we have had on this program who understands this in a very deep way, Dr. Katrina Lantos Sweat, is president of the Lantos Foundation for Human Rights and Justice. She's the former chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom and co-chair of the IRF Summit. And Dr. Sweat, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Boyd. It's a pleasure to be with you again, and thank you for covering this important topic.
You had a wonderful piece in The Hill, thehill.com, of course, with Samuel Brownback, who we've also had on this show and who understands these things in a very unique way. But just for our listeners, just give us a little history and a little sense of why 75 years on that we need to maybe think again about what we think about religious freedom.
Well, the framers of the Universal Declaration did a really brilliant job with Article 18 that you just referred to, which is the article in the Universal Declaration that protects freedom of religion, conscience, and belief. So it's really broader than just religious freedom, because this article protects not only those who believe, but also those who choose not to believe. It really goes to that very fundamental idea that each of us should have the right to live our lives according to the dictates of our own conscience. And in just a few words in that Article 18, they really cover the whole range of things that need to be protected: the right to worship in community with others, the right to live out one's convictions, the right to leave a religion and adopt a new one, all of these things, some of which were very controversial when the Universal Declaration was adopted. And let's be honest, they remain kind of controversial today, but they really are so important, because I am certainly of the belief that freedom of religion and belief is foundational. You really can't think meaningfully in terms of freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of assembly, without first securing this wellspring right. So, Ambassador Brownback and I are very committed to not only advocating for this right, educating people about it, but trying to do what we can to help that 80% of the world's population that you referred to, who live in countries where this right is restricted and in some cases very, very severely repressed and persecuted.
Yeah, no question about that. And I want to get into that component because you and Ambassador Brownback did a beautiful job of talking about how we lean into these conversations. Sometimes we've looked at places like China. You pointed this out in your piece at The Hill. That sometimes we kind of avoid some of those conversations because they're a little sticky on the geopolitical spectrum.
Yeah.
But why is it and how is it that we should go about those conversations?
Well, my own belief is we need to prioritize this as one of the key human rights that we, as a country that has played an indispensable role in advancing the whole human rights project, we need to be in the forefront of advocating for this fundamental set of conscience rights. And yes, it is. Take China. China is one of the world's worst abusers of religious freedom rights. At the same time, it's a player in the world. It's challenging or attempting to challenge the United States as sort of the preeminent superpower in the world. It's threatening our closest ally in that arena, Taiwan and Japan and other countries. And so there are a lot of people who say, well, let's be cautious, let's be careful, let's not rock the boat. But of course, what we know and what history teaches us is that if we fail to stand up for these fundamental values, not only do we betray our own sort of purposes and our own values as a society, but we ultimately undermine our position and status and leadership in the world. China fears being challenged on these issues, not because it is strong, but precisely because it is weaker than we realize. Any country, and I've made this point on many occasions, any country that doesn't really rest on the firm foundation of the consent of the governed, they may look very strong and very powerful from the outside, but their underlying sort of structures are quite weak. And, at the end of the day, we would like to see liberalization, of bringing about a change in countries like China, in countries like Russia, and North Korea. And when we stand firmly for these fundamental freedoms and rights, we encourage people in those countries to take steps to defend their own fundamental human rights.
I love the way you frame that, because so often we tend to function from a position of weakness in these conversations rather than a position of strength, recognizing that those dictatorial regimes or those who don't give their people that freedom of religion and faith and belief, they're the ones functioning from the position of weakness. We have the commanding heights of those principles, and yet so often we kind of cower in the corner. And I know one of the things that you are doing to raise that banner and to get everyone to look to those commanding heights of moral imagination is the International Religious Freedom Summit. I know you've got the fourth annual will be coming up here in January. Give us a little perspective on that.
Well, it's something that I'm just so excited to be involved in, and Ambassador Brownback has been a a really great leader and partner in this endeavor. But it really is an incredibly exciting opportunity to build exciting momentum around this issue, bring people together from across the political spectrum, spanning so many faith traditions, to advocate for religious freedom, to highlight the places in the world where it is under threat, to tell the stories of religious prisoners of conscience and bring those to the attention of the media and of policymakers so that we can advocate for their relief and for their release, to build new alliances and basically to kind of move the ball forward in advocating for and fighting to defend this fundamental freedom. I know that, your audience probably includes a lot of people who care passionately about this issue. I know the Church of Jesus Christ is really in the forefront of advocating for religious freedom, and I think it should be very proud of the fact that it is maybe the only faith I can think of in the world where one of its founding sort of precepts and theological doctrines, free agency, as well as one of its articles of faith that talks about defending the rights of conscience of all people. Really, the Church of Jesus Christ is singular in that regard. And so we would love, of course, to have a lot of people from that community and from Utah take a look at the Earth Summit and perhaps think about joining us, because they would find it to be empowering, energizing, encouraging, uplifting, an incredible opportunity to network, to learn, to advocate. And I think that this fourth summit is going to be the best yet. It's a growing movement. And let me just say one thing, Boyd. As we look at the tragic, horrific events right now in the Middle East, the shocking attack on Israel by Hamas, and the very, very grave situation now in Gaza, where so many innocent civilians are being threatened because of the murderous intentions of Hamas, we see that this fight to defend religious freedom and to build societies and nations where religious pluralism is accepted and honored is not only kind of the right thing to do, but it's really essential for world security. Yeah. Many of the hottest hotspots in the world, the underlying cause of the violence, of the attacks, of the war, really traces back to an unwillingness to accept religious differences, live in respect with one's neighbors who have different religious beliefs or affiliations. And so this is not only sort of a moral call to do the right thing, it's also a very pragmatic call to build healthier, more pluralistic, tolerant, rights-respecting societies.
It is. It is not only the right thing to do, it's also the best thing to do for individual rights and for freedom all around the world. Dr. Katrina Lantos Sweat, we always appreciate your perspective. We will continue to watch this. We hope to have you tap in and weigh in as the event takes place there in January. I think this is an important world moment, and there's going to be some crucial conversations that will take place there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And you are an eloquent and insightful person to have this conversation with. So thank you so very much.
Again, that's Dr. Katrina Lantos Sweat. So much great insight. You're going to want to go back and listen to the podcast today. This is a crucial conversation. Developing this religious pluralism, this respect for the dignity of everyone, to recognize the divine across our differences is really the beginning of understanding, which, as we've been saying throughout the day today, is the beginning of better neighborhoods, better communities, better country, and a better world. Something to think about. We'll be right back.
Think again on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson. A few things you should know about the KSL News Radio app. First, you get access to KSL's live stream any place you take your phone. Not to mention all of KSL's talk shows that you can podcast during the day. Third thing, you get breaking alerts for important stories.
We have you covered
with one app
at KSL News Radio.
Hey, it's the holidays. It's the end of the year. A lot of people are worried about weight and health. Often we're kind of gearing up and thinking, well, I'll just kind of cruise through and then hopefully I'll get my act together, get in shape, get well in the new year. No need to wait. Do it now. It's what I did. And the amazing thing is with SOTA Weight Loss, SOTA stands for State of the Art Weight Loss. It's so simple. You got your own coach, you got a mentor, a dietitian to help you reframe and look at everything you do as it relates to food and nutrition. The pounds and inches fall off. I lost 37 pounds in less than 90 days. I am 2 years in. I'm exactly the same weight as I was after my first 90 days. Doesn't matter if I go on vacation. Doesn't matter if I go to Hawaii. Doesn't matter if I go on a cruise or just have a big holiday, because I've changed the dynamic of it all. You can do the same thing when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey. No time to lose, folks. Only time to win. So start winning today. Check it out at SOTA Weight Loss, SOTAweightloss.com.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Wednesday, December 13th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
I'm so stressed about my business not being ready for the holidays.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose.
Mommy.
That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Get deeper insights on the news from inside sources.
Well, in the aftermath of several Ivy League presidents' congressional testimony on anti-Semitism, much has been made about the importance of free speech on college campuses. But what we need to think again about is what free speech on campus is actually meant for. Is it supposed to be about performative protests, or is it supposed to be about something more than that? When it comes to issues like this, we always turn to Frederick Hess, a senior fellow and director of education policy studies at the American Enterprise Institute. And Rick, always great to have you on the program. And let's get down to the essence of this. I think we've lost so much in the headlines of all of this college campus speech stuff. I love that you're getting back. Your piece in Forbes is brilliant, talking about what is campus free speech for.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, it's great to be with you. Look, I mean, everybody was, I think, justifiably furious at the presidents of MIT and Harvard and UPenn last week because they got up in front of Congress and they just flat lied. They said that they are free speech absolutists. You know, boy, they can't do anything about chants for genocide on campus because they're so respectful of free, and that's just nonsense. I mean, these are the same college presidents who want to tell you what pronouns you're allowed to use. So the idea that, you know, that this is a free speech thing for them is nuts. But regardless, both those presidents and their critics on the right have allowed this to become about, you know, when are we ever allowed to restrict free speech on campus? Well, of course we should, because college campuses aren't there to serve as backdrops for people to wave banners and scream. The reason we should care about free speech on campus is because colleges are supposed to be places of learning and research where we ask hard questions. And that's where colleges are failing so miserably. The Foundation for Individual Rights in Education did its annual survey a month or two back. About half of college students are scared to speak up in class. You get the same findings from the Constructive Dialogue Institute. So we're all worried about whether students who want to chant for genocide get to wave their banners, but these same college presidents are turning a blind eye when students are telling us that they're scared to actually talk and engage in classrooms, which is where free speech is supposed to matter.
Yeah, and so I want to dig into that. And one of the things you did in your Forbes piece was actually look at the history of this, because I always find that instructive. I don't know why we don't do that more often. We should go back to history. There's some real lessons there. And as you said, it's not about just being able to have a big banner waving protest, or for someone to make a point or to become famous on some social media channel or raise a whole bunch of money for some think tank. So let's get to the historic reasons why we have these college campuses to begin with, and what that free speech should look like, as you described it, as the beginning of learning.
Yeah, and it's important not to have a red herring here. I mean, one of the great things about America is our right to speak freely and petition government. So this is not about should we restrict free speech. It's about college campuses.
Right.
And for 1,000 years, the logic of higher education has been that it's supposed to be a place where scholars teach and students learn and research is pursued. And if we want to challenge convention, if we want to discover new truths, those colleges have to be a place where that conversation, that research can play out without bounds. And this has been understood going back to the earliest universities in France and Italy as millennia ago. It was the logic of building out the American university system. The American Association of University Professors was saying this a century ago. What happened, though, I think, was very much in the 1960s, when college campuses became places where hippies would occupy buildings and scream against the war. We somehow tangled together two things. Colleges as places where we worried about protecting free inquiry and free minds to learn, and the right of protesters to freely take over campuses and march around and wave flags.
Yeah.
And what's happened is that we have lost the ability to say, look, it's perfectly okay for college leaders to say, no, you don't get to march in the quad. It can't be the guys on the right or the guys on the left.
Right.
It can't be because we disagree what you think. But it's perfectly appropriate for them to say, this is an educational institution. Flag-wearing, waving rallies are super American, but they're not super educational. And we are going to, in a viewpoint-neutral, fair-minded fashion, work harder to protect this as a place of learning, even if it means you get to hold a lot fewer rallies.
Yeah. And there's so many things to unpack in this. And one of the things that you mentioned in your piece that I just love was the challenge is that we've got so few on campus who are willing to challenge some of the things going on. And then we sort of have the whole group think going on that actually makes it worse. But I want to get to where you always get, and this is one of the reasons we love to have you on the show, and that is let's start talking about some steps forward. And you laid out several, starting in high school and some things that need to happen on college campuses that can help us change the dynamic and get to the real issue. Share a couple of those with us.
Sure. I mean, one is anybody who's paid attention to high school civics and history and social studies knows that we're talking a lot about activism in high school today and a lot less about analysis and reason and being a good citizen. So one, we've got to get back to teaching about what it means to listen and engage in high school and not just be an activist. Yeah. Second, colleges have a habit when they ask kids to write their essays, when they celebrate what they do is they celebrate activism. They don't celebrate active listening. They don't celebrate discourse. Colleges have to get back to saying we want to admit students who want to learn, not just students who want to perform. And they've got to make that part of what they do when they induct freshmen at the beginning of freshman year. That's got to be part of seminar, part of classes. Third thing is that means faculty have got work to do. A lot of faculty aren't very good at this. Colleges need to be looking for faculty who want to teach, who can model this kind of engagement, and they've got to make it more of a priority when they hire and evaluate faculty. Are they doing a job to engage and support open-minded learning and not just write articles in journals nobody reads or stand up and share with students their own particular views?
Great stuff, as always. This is the essence of it all. Rick, we always appreciate your perspective on this, and I love this idea. We got to get beyond protests. If we're going to get to progress, we have to go beyond the activism focus to active, compassionate listening and curiosity focus, and that performative stuff that often comes with the activism to actually get to real performance, which always includes listening, curiosity, and the dignity of disagreeing in a different way. As always, Rick Hess, we appreciate your perspective on this. Great answers and great steps forward that I think we have to get. And I love that we start back in high schools before we get to college campuses. Great stuff as always. Thanks for joining us, Fred. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll step aside for bottom of the hour news. More Inside Sources coming up next.
It's 2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top local story this hour. The National Rugby League from Australia is coming to the USA, and they're passing through Salt Lake City today as part of a national tour, running a training session at Brighton High School. KSL News Radio's Hugo Rickard-Bell has details for us. Hugo?
You guys call it rugby league. We call it the greatest game on earth, and it's coming to Vegas this March. Now, we don't wear helmets where I come from. The hearts on our sleeve is protection enough. And the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Sydney Roosters, Manly Sea Eagles, and the Brisbane Broncos, who, if I had it my personal way, would get booed all the way back to the plane, have touched down in the USA to promote the series. If you want to get ahead of the action, though, you can head down to Brighton High School tonight at 4:30, where some legends of the game in Australia, like Stretch Graham, will be holding a training session for some of the local players and teams. Hugo Rickard-Bell, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The heart of historic Lahaina has been reopened now to residents and business owners on Maui. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
It's an emotional milestone for victims of the August wildfire that killed at least 100 victims. People who live or worked in Lahaina and get day passes can now enter the heart of the town, including visiting the 150-year-old banyan tree that burned in the fire but is now sprouting new leaves, as well as Front Street, which was destroyed by the flames. Work remains to safely clear debris and to rebuild. Arsenic in the area remains the biggest worry. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average took off like a rocket after news that the Federal Reserve would not be raising interest rates this time around. It's up 512 points at the close of trading. NASDAQ was up 200 points, and the S&P 500 was up 63. Our KSL weather looks like an inversion layer may be forming up again. That's next. KSL News Time, 2:32.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
You've heard me talk about our friends at Hercules Credit Union. They've been helping us grow stronger together when it comes to your financial situation since 1946. They've been doing this a long time. They know how to not just tell you you're special, they actually show you that you're special. And right now they're doing that in a big way. Right now, open up a new checking account and they will upgrade you to a free Premier checking account when you get that opened at Hercules Credit Union. And there's all the benefits that goes with being a Premier checking account holder. You get identity theft protection, travel benefits, cellular care coverage, and a host of other benefits, all for free, all part of being a Premier checking account member at Hercules Credit Union. You can always find them at their locations, Taylorsville, Harriman, Riverton, or Salt Lake City. And you can always find our friends at Hercules Credit Union online at HerculesCU.com. That's HerculesCU.com.
This is the lunch rush at your local deli. Orders are flying in. Online, on the phone, and in person.
Order for Nick.
So is it possible that fast internet could help your business outrun the rush? It is with Comcast Business. Up-leveling your speed with gig speed Wi-Fi, powering all your devices, and fast downloads and uploads, powered by the next generation 10G network. With Comcast Business, next-level speed isn't just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying internet package. Call or go online to learn more. Ends 12/20/2023. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Gig Wi-Fi requires gig internet and compatible router.
Hey guys, Alex Curie for Alpine Home Medical. You've heard me talking about Alpine Home Medical for years and about how great of a service that they provide to our community when it comes to getting you your at-home medical needs. Well, I got some great news. They've been talking about it for a while. They've been excited to announce it, and it's finally here. It is a brand new store in Tooele, Utah. Yes, they have brick and mortar stores all across the Wasatch Front, but they're excited to be able to bring this one to the heart of Tooele. It's just north of the Walmart off of Main Street, and the store's just going to be just like every one of the stores that they have at Alpine Home Medical, offering a massive selection of home medical supplies. Do you need a CPAP machine? Great, they've got it. Do you need a power scooter? Great, they'll take care of you. Need assistance in your home? They're going to get it set up for you, and they're going to do it the Alpine Home Medical way, which is the highest quality that you can get. Expect the best from Alpine because that's what you deserve. They accept most major insurances and can work directly with your provider to be able to make sure you get exactly what you need. And now they're excited to provide everybody out in Tooele with that same service. So visit them online, alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Guys, does she need a little escape this year? Introducing Cozy Escape Pajamas from Pajamagram, America's PJ experts. These PJs are just the getaway she needs. So take that time off and plan a holiday staycation. Cozy Escape Pajamas make the perfect gift for your special someone who deserves a little rest and relaxation. Treat her to luxurious next-level Cozy signature soft fleece. They're as light as a dream and will keep her oh so warm, like snuggling in her favorite blanket. She'll love to cuddle in Cozy Escape PJs on those extra chilly nights. With Pajamagram, you can even add gift packaging. Order now for guaranteed delivery by Christmas. She's missed out on a lot of things she loves this year, so this Christmas, give her the escape she deserves. These new PJs are selling fast, so order today. Go to Pajamagram.com right now. That's Pajamagram.com to order Cozy Escape Pajamas. Pajamagram.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union's new Dividend Plus checking account. Here's Len Thomas.
Well, Dan, we got some slow trucks heading up the summit, eastbound I-80 and Parley's Canyon on the way to Park City, but you can get around those on the left. Highway 6 still closed due to an earlier crash. This is near the Tie Fork Rest area prior to Soldier Summit. This holiday season, receive the gift of taking up to $10,000 off a new Silverado when you walk through their door. You feel like family at MurdochChev.com. Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, canyon winds are dying down, and then high pressure is moving in with pollution building up under an inversion layer. There's a chance of showers by Monday and Tuesday of next week. And right now, 45 degrees, partly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
You know, every once in a while, you just have to hit pause, back up, rewind, zoom out, rethink. And that's what I want to do in this segment of the program. There's been so many things going on, a fast flurry of headlines covering a wide range of topics. And so I just want to slow some things down and get to a few of the things underneath the headlines that have been head-scratchingly absent in a lot of the conversations, particularly as it relates to what's going on in the Middle East. So I want to give you some of the latest updates about what's going on in Israel with Hamas and what's going on in Gaza. But as we near the holidays, as the Jewish community around the world celebrates Hanukkah, as families continue to grieve over those that have been lost, and in particular those who are still being held hostage by Hamas. Of course, there's also the growing rift and more public rift between the Biden administration and the Israeli government. And the war continues to drag on. And, of course, as the civilian deaths count continues to go up inside of Gaza. So there's a host of things under the surface. And the place I want to start is a place that I think has been so vastly and just, I'm flabbergasted. I can't understand why we have talked so little about the American hostages being held by Hamas. To me, it's unfathomable that we would be in this place and not be talking more about American citizens being held by a terrorist organization. I don't understand that. But today, families of those American hostages met with President Biden. That's a good thing. As they came out of their conversation with the president at the White House, they expressed gratitude for what is being done, the work behind the scenes being done to bring their loved ones home.
It was a terrific meeting and conversation. I think we all came away feeling that as families of hostages, of American-Israeli hostages, which are 8 out of a total of 138 hostages, we felt that, and we felt before, and we were only reinforced in seeing and believing that we could have no better friend in Washington or in the White House than President Biden himself and his administration.
So that was an important, positive conversation coming out. And again, it's just been a little hard for me to understand why we're talking so little about those 8 Americans that are being held since October the 7th by the Hamas terrorist organization. Now, part of that might be strategic. Part of that may be letting the Israeli negotiators and those in Qatar lead out on that, but I still don't quite understand it. These are American citizens. I think we should be talking much more about who they are and their families, their stories. Now, one of the those who have been released, the four-year-old girl named Abigail, her great aunt was. Her great aunt was one of those that was at the White House, and she called on for a Christmas miracle to get those hostages back to their families.
We are here because the president and his team have been bringing out light in this dark time. And Abigail, who is a 4-year-old, is a symbol of that light. And as we come to the Christmas holiday, I hope that others around the world not only pray, but pray for us, pray for our families, pray for our leaders, pray for the president. We love a Christmas miracle. We would love all of our loved ones to come back and be with us for Christmas.
Again, 138 hostages still being held. 8 of those are American citizens. I think we have to have a bigger focus on that. I think the administration needs to be a little more outspoken in terms of where we are on that and why that matters. So that's one thing, again, that's not getting a lot of attention. I think it is important to call attention to those American hostages being held by Hamas. That's a big deal because if we don't do anything about that, that just encourages thugs, bad guys, and terrorists around the world to say, well, we can get away with that as well, or we can use it for high leverage, as we saw in Iran. And we've got to have a better strategy in terms of dealing with Americans being held hostage around the world. Now, during the White House press briefing today, Strategic Communications Director for the White House, John Kirby, who continues to amaze as the best in the business. Doesn't matter whether you agree with the policies that he's conveying, there's nobody better in a strategic communication role than John Kirby. He talked about some of the latest breakthroughs in aid coming into Gaza, and this was significant, and this hasn't been reported widely, but he talked about the fact that there would soon be aid coming directly from Israel. So most of the aid thus far has, of course, gone through Egypt, and that southern crossing into Gaza. Now it appears to be very soon that there will be aid coming directly from Israel into Gaza.
We are working every day to bring in as much humanitarian assistance as possible to the people of Gaza and to reduce civilian harm. As we speak, our team is working with the UN and with the Israelis on corridors to facilitate the flow of aid and on brief daily pauses to allow people to get access to the assistance. We have also worked to get the crossing at Kerem Shalom open for inspections, increasing the throughput of aid, and we have urged the Israelis to allow aid directly from Israel through that crossing into Gaza. This will be the first direct entry to aid from Israel into Gaza since the 7th of October, so it's not insignificant.
It's not insignificant. Reporters pressed Kirby on President Biden's recent comments about indiscriminate bombing by the Israeli military on targets in Gaza. Here's how he addressed that particular point.
We have every expectation that Israel will do exactly what they say they're doing, which is to continue to go after the terrorist leaders and to do so in a way that minimizes civilian harm, as I said in my opening statement, as the president has said. That's their intent. He was expressing concerns that we continue to see civilian casualties in Gaza. And again, that we want to make sure that as they work to minimize, that they actually have those kinds of results.
So the results, I think that's the really important thing there. The president was clearly expressing concern as those civilian casualties mount, that Israel is taking every precaution possible, especially as it relates to civilian casualties. They still have a war to prosecute. They have an intention that is clear to root out Hamas, that President Biden and the team have been in full support of, continue to be in full support of. I also thought it was interesting that one of the reporters today in the briefing asked John Kirby if changes need to be made in U.S. policy regarding military aid to Israel if the president sees those negative results. In other words, if he sees indiscriminate bombing, should that be different, or should that put some conditions on military aid? Interesting exchange. Take a listen.
If the president believes Israel is engaging in indiscriminate bombing, wouldn't there be an obligation from the U.S. to put new conditions on military aid?
Every bit of security assistance we give any other country always comes with the expectation that the law of armed conflict is going to be respected and obeyed. As I said earlier, we're not going to assess every single airstrike here from this particular podium. That wouldn't be appropriate. The Israelis should speak to their operations, but we have every expectation, as I said to my previous answer there, that they will act in accordance with the law of armed conflict and do everything that they can to match their intent, which is to minimize civilian casualties.
So matching the intent that they are going to minimize, I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. At the same time, there is a war to prosecute and objectives to be had. And so keeping that balance and keeping those lines of communication open, I think, is real crucial. Just to round out this segment, as we look at everything from the hostages to aid going in directly from Israel into Gaza, I think that's so important. The rules of engagement in terms of what Israel is doing and, again, those civilian casualties. We also want to kind of come full circle a little bit in terms of how we have conversations about so many of these things, including the rise in anti-Semitism. Yesterday, I spoke with our friend Rabbi Brad Hirschfield out of New York, and how we're seeing this rise in anti-Semitism, and, of course, the recent testimony from college presidents regarding the issue. And he actually spoke to the principles. The principles is what we always want to get to on this show. Principles that can act as our guide to better understand and better communicate with one another when it comes to issues just like this.
Each of us is the boss of ourselves, and the fear that someone else is the boss of us will paralyze us and keep us from doing what we know to be right, and will keep us from speaking out when the wrong has been done. That's never a healthy place to be. We can disagree as long as we're willing to be civil, honest, and self-aware. Those are the three ingredients we need to restore and then build on the necessary trust in our institutions and in one another.
So it's up to us. And sometimes we do act defensively because we don't want anyone to be the boss of us. If you've had that conversation with your children before, usually they're having it with each other. You're not the boss of me. We're all the boss of ourselves. And being able to be civil, to be honest, humbly honest, I would say, self-aware, leads us to better conversations, and higher levels of trust in each other and in the institutions that help keep our society sound, strengthened, and connected. And so as we look at all of these things going on in the Middle East, it's easy to unravel, or it's easy to chase the ongoing headlines of it all, or the outrage, and sometimes rightly outraged conversations that are happening. But instead we have to come back and who's the boss of me, and what's my job, and can I be civil, honest, and self-aware so that I can be part of the solution to restore trust in institutions and in each other. All right, we'll step aside for one last break. Come back with some final thoughts on Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Jeff Kaplan here for my good friends at Advanced Window Products. Jake Weber and Nate Orchard are spreading the holiday cheer with their biggest sale of the year. If the wind whistles through your windows, if you want a fresh new look for your number one investment, your home, call Advanced Window Products and take advantage of this incredible end-of-year sale. Replace all of your windows and frames, and you get $2,500 off. But that's not all. You get a free premium glass upgrade. Insulate your home against the cold with double pane windows and stylish frames, any style, any color, and they're built custom right here at their headquarters in Salt Lake City for 37 years. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. Plus, an additional $2,500 off and a free premium glass upgrade. You can save now, pay later, so take advantage. Call now, Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100, 801-850-9100, or visit AdvancedWindowsUSA.com.
Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit HotTubAndSwimSpaSale.com.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
If you have a water heater, I'm about to save you $100. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and a lot of people don't realize that water heaters need annual maintenance. You can do it yourself, or you can leave it to a plumber. And today, Wednesday, December 13th, Any Hour Services is having a surprise one-day sale for KSL listeners. Normally, we charge $149 to flush and service your water heater. But if you call today and mention this ad, we'll tune up your water heater for only $49. That's $100 savings. Call Any Hour Services right now at 801-443-7400. Manufacturers say annual maintenance can help your water heater last longer, produce hot water faster, and our plumbers service all brands. 801-443-7400. If it's been over a year since you've had your water heater flushed and serviced, call Any Hour Services right now. While you're thinking about it, lock in this $100 savings and schedule your $49 water heater tune-up today. Call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Still don't have the perfect holiday gift?
At Shane Company, we have the largest selection of last-minute gifts in every price range. Gorgeous gold chains, diamond stud earrings, that special pendant they'll wear every day, and more. As your friend in the jewelry business, we offer our customers high-quality jewelry, the best warranty in the industry, and exceptional customer service. 'Tis the season to shine. Shane Company, fine jewelry since 1929.
Hey, it's Amanda, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A nugget trays is that they're so easy for the holidays. They're warm and flavorful. It's always a crowd pleaser. When I put down a nugget tray, everyone is happy.
Hey, this is Brian, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A nugget trays is the joy that it brings to me and everybody around me during the holidays. They're warm, juicy, and delicious.
Cater the holidays with Chick-fil-A today. Available on the Chick-fil-A app. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Gifts they'll cherish, value, love, and pass down. They're at J. Brooks Jewelers. Online at jbrooksjewelers.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Australian rugby is about to arrive in Las Vegas with a promotional stop in Utah this afternoon. Second, the Santa Brigade was out today bringing Christmas to families with foster kids. And third, visitors coming to see the banyan tree that survived the Maui wildfire. Right now, 45 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Hear elevated conversation on crucial issues. Boyd Matheson on Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It's great to be with you today, as always. I am Boyd Matheson. As we round out the program today, if you missed anything and haven't been able to listen to the complete program, you're not going to go back when the podcasts go up a little later on this afternoon, kslpodcast.com. Just click on Inside Sources, and you can go through each of the segments individually. That's the beauty of the podcast, is you can go through by topic, you can go through by our guests, and just really zero in on some of those amazing conversations that we get to have every day here on Inside Sources. And so some of those that we've had today, I think that have been really significant. We've looked at everything from, what's going on in Washington, D.C., which is a lot of chaos and very little clarity on a wide range of things. And it's time to get back to governing. And that's not a left issue, a right issue, a Democrat issue, a Republican issue. It's an American issue. Governing is the job. And for far too long, I think we have become casual as voters and as citizens and allowed and rewarded politics over good governing and good principles. Character matters. And we're going to talk about that more as we get it through the week this week. And we also have to get down and get past all of these headlines that often distract us from what's really going on. They are a great distraction. It's the shiny object. I saw this in Washington, D.C. all the time. And the leaders of both political parties love shiny objects because it causes the members in the House and the Senate to chase them. And when they're chasing shiny objects, they're not focused on governing. And so then guess who gets to govern? The two Democratic leaders and the two Republican leaders. And they get to go behind closed doors and they make all kinds of decisions. They do these last minute things. They give these all or nothing votes. And that's why we get what we get. And so we have to expect more, not less. And we have to expect good governance, not performative politics. And that's a we the people issue. We have to start rewarding good governance, not performative politics. Because otherwise we end up just chasing all the headlines, we end up chasing all the social media posts, and we never get down to the real issues. It goes back to the old saying, where's the wisdom we lost in knowledge and where's the knowledge we lost in information? And so we're just sort of being gaslit with a lot of information as opposed to some real solid knowledge and, even more important, the perspective that leads us to wisdom. That's where we want to get. One of my favorite quotes from the late Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, I always come back to this. He said, if there's one thing that the great institutions of the modern world do not do, it is to provide meaning. Science tells us how, but not why. Technology gives us power, but cannot guide us as to how to use that power. The market gives us choices, but leaves us uninstructed as to how to make those choices. The liberal democratic state gives us freedom to live as we choose, but refuses on principle to guide us as to how to choose. So the result is that the 21st century has left us with a maximum of choice and a minimum of meaning. And when we have a maximum of choice, especially when it comes to good governance, when the maximum of choice is all about the performative politics and whether you want to pick that up off of TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or X or wherever else you want to go, those bubbles, that technology is going to give you a lot of information, but it may not be giving you good knowledge, and it rarely is leading you to the higher component of meaning and wisdom. And so it goes back to that principle we were talking about in the last segment, which is sometimes we just got to slow down and either hit pause or rewind or back up or zoom out and get back to meaning, to get back to the principles. Because it's those principles that actually unite us. If you missed it, we talked to Lois Collins. The American Family Survey came out, 10th American Family Survey. And she pointed out the fact that Americans on the left and the right politically live very similar lives. They're trying to raise their kids. They're trying to be a contributor in their neighborhood and community. A lot of this stuff just goes away. And that's where meaning is actually found. So we have to get past the maximum choice to get to maximum meaning in the end. All right, that wraps it up for us here on Inside Sources today on KSL News Radio. I am Boyd Matheson. Thanks for joining us. And as always, as you go out into the world today, make sure you see something that inspires, say something that uplifts, and do something that makes a difference.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
Listen at home on any smart speaker.
And in your car at 102.7 FM.
This is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shaleo. Sitting in this week for Jeff Kaplan. It's partly cloudy in downtown Salt Lake City and 45 degrees. KSL's top story.